Well, good morning everyone. Now, before we begin, I know it may be a little bit strange that I'm in bed, but I'm actually doing a hotel stay here in the Scottish borders. And I just thought, because it's such a rainy, cloudy, grey day, that what better way to answer some questions, have a chat, in the ultimate relaxing setting of this beautiful suite and in this four-poster bed. So I just thought, I can't be bothered to get dressed. It's a slow morning and I'm gonna do this little video here in bed. So please join me. I've got Sophie and Peggy. I've got some tea as well. Everybody's getting cozy. And I'm going to answer your questions. So the very first question that I'm going to answer is one that I got a lot this time. And that is, hi Nicholas, are you dating Nathan Rowlinson? So I thought that I would do this one first, get it out the way, because yeah, a lot of people did ask, and I can understand why. But no, I'm definitely not dating Nathan Rowlinson. Nathan is my very best friend. We're both gay, but Nathan has a long-term boyfriend. In fact, he's engaged. They're getting married next year, and I am going to be the best man. So we're definitely not dating. We've never had a romantic thing. We've always just been best friends. And Nathan and I are so similar. We grew up in the same area. We never knew each other back then, but we met all years later. We like the same things, we have the same style, we finish each other's sentences. So it is possible to be two gay men and just be friends without any romantic inclination. So I just thought that I would let everybody know that even though Nathan and I travel together a lot for work and we spend a lot of time together, we're definitely not a couple, and we're both in separate relationships. So Nathan has a wonderful fiance called Matthew, and I also have my boyfriend who I've been dating for just over a year now. So yeah, although we do spend a lot of time together and we have a very close relationship, it is definitely just a friendship and most definitely platonic. Another thing is that when we do these hotel visits, they're often PR stays, so we're here to promote the hotel. Nathan is a luxury lifestyle photographer, so hotels invite him here to take beautiful photographs, which then they can use. So when we're doing those PR stays, we have to share a room, and often we have to share a bed. And a lot of times people go, oh my God, you're sharing a bed. But really, if you understand the friendship that we have, it's more like sharing a bed with a brother or a close friend. And I think if two women were sharing a bed, two best friends who were women were sharing a bed, then it wouldn't really be seen as odd. But because we're both men, it just, people find that very strange. I can understand in some ways, but Nathan and I are just totally best friends. There's nothing strange going on. We're just simply friends. So yeah, I thought that I would answer that question first because it is the question that I got asked the most. So the next question is from Misha, Miss Sash, and she said, help, advice for decorating / styling a dark, narrow Victorian hallway, SOS. Okay, so I did ask people to send me questions about style, love, anything you want. So this is a interior design question. And Victorian hallways, I can imagine, could be quite difficult to figure out how you're going to decorate, furnish them, because they can be dark, narrow, very heavy. My advice for any interior or room that is dark, narrow, perhaps doesn't have a lot of natural light, is to embrace the darkness. Now I know that when it comes to interiors, we're kind of told that we should try to make every room as bright as possible, but with a room like a Victorian hallway or corridor that is dark, you're never going to be able to create the light that you're looking for. Light will only come from natural light, and if the corridor or room is dark and lacking, you're never going to be able to recreate that, no matter how much white paint you use, reflective surfaces. So my advice is to embrace the darkness and make these dark corridors and spaces feel the ultimate, most luxurious places that you can imagine. I would say is that instead of trying to create bright light, do the opposite and create a beautiful cozy space. Use lots of little lamps to create mini pools of light to create this beautiful ambient feeling. Instead of trying to go for really bright, dim everything down and make this space feel like a cozy jewel box kind of thing. And I think you will find that will be a lot better than trying to create light where it will never exist. A great tip for these dark, dingy spaces is to make them supremely comfortable. So even something like a hallway or a corridor, you can do that by adding seating, carpets, textures. Maybe you want to have a wallpaper on the wall that has a beautiful texture in. If it's a small space, you may even be able to afford to line the walls with fabric. This will make it even more like a jewel box feel, because sound will be drawn into the fabric and you'll have this beautiful cocooned feeling. So yeah, my advice for any dark, dingy corridor type spaces is just to make them sumptuous, embrace the darkness, create little pools of light and make them very, very comfortable. These spaces are also great places to display interesting art or objects. If you have something maybe very personal, like a series of photographs of your family or a loved one, this is a great place to display them, because there's not much else to see in this space. The light is bad, so create interest with the objects and furnishings that you use in these places. Then people won't be so inclined to think about the lack of light. They'll just find that this is a place of interest and something very interesting to see. This question is from According to Henri, and it says, what is your favourite city after London or Edinburgh? So this is quite an easy one for me to answer, and my favourite city outside of London or Edinburgh has to be Paris. There's just something about Paris. A lot of people recently I see on social media talking about Paris being dirty and lots of crime going on there, and that may be the case, but you can still never take away the fact that it is so beautiful architecturally and there are so incredible incredible things to see there. It is just the most beautiful city. Whenever I'm in Paris and I'm walking through the Parisian streets, it is almost like being on a film set, because you've got that honey-coloured stone, the wonderful architecture with all the little detailings. It is just a magical place. And then of course the Eiffel Tower, which just stands proud in the city, and every hour in the evening it shimmers with all the lights. I just think Paris is the most magical place, and I've always loved visiting there, so I definitely want to go back soon. So I also have some wonderful memories of Paris. My first Valentine's Day when I was 21, with a partner, we stayed in Paris at the Ritz, and I remember having afternoon tea there for the first time, and we were sitting in the salon having afternoon tea, and I just remember looking around and everybody was so elegant, and yeah, that really had an impression on me. There were ladies sitting there having lunch, afternoon tea, wearing beautiful outfits, perfect hair, you could smell elegant perfume, and so those are the memories that form and stay in your mind and give you a love for a certain city or place. No! So yeah, I think favourite cities are personal to you as an individual because you get those memories and moments that you've cherished from them. But I really do love Paris, and I want to go back soon and share a wonderful video with you all. So the next question, this is from Matt Hivelli, and he said, if you could live in any stately English home, which one would you choose? I just loved that question because obviously I'm never going to get to live in a stately home, so it's one of those fantasy questions that you really get to dream and think about and just get lost in for a few minutes whilst you imagine living in a stately home. So I think the stately home that I would most like to live in is Chatsworth House. This is an incredible house in Derbyshire. It is one of the very first stately homes that I visited when I was a child, and it is in the middle of the most glorious Derbyshire countryside. And as you wind through the road that takes you to the house, this golden stone palace just rises from the valley, and you just see this magnificent architectural building rising from the lake that runs through it. And I can't explain how wonderful Chatsworth is, but if you ever get the chance to visit England, you must go to Chatsworth. It is mesmerising. So it's home to the Duke of Devonshire, and I think the family have had the house for like 500 years, and it started off as a Tudor house, and then it was remodeled to the Georgian splendour that we see today. But yes, it does have honey-coloured stone. It's like a perfectly square Georgian house with beautiful sash windows. And the first time that I visited, it had a lot of scaffolding around, because I think they spent about £10 million restoring the exterior. And what they did was they cleaned up all the stone so that it looked brand new, and they also gilded all of the wooden window frames, which just makes the house look so resplendent. When the sunlight hits the windows, everything sparkles, the honey stone and the glimmering gilt that's on the windows, and it just looks magical. And that is what I love the most about Chatsworth. You can tell that the owners of the house really have a love affair with it, and they want to do everything they can to keep it going for generations and generations. They care for the house so much, and you can just get that in every sense when you visit. So Chatsworth was built as a home for entertaining, not only for the people who live there. It has been open to the public for its entire history. So members of the public were always allowed to come and visit. I don't think they were allowed to go inside before. It was just the grounds, but the Dukes of Devonshire wanted to make sure that everybody could visit the grounds and enjoy them, and I think that is very sweet. I just think sometimes, what is the point of having these beautiful big houses when only 5 or 6 people are going to live there? You should share them with everyone and let everybody else take pleasure from them. And that is the core message from Chatsworth, is that this is a house for everybody to enjoy, and that's what makes it special and keeps it alive. So I last visited Chatsworth in August with my boyfriend, who'd never been, and he loved it. And what I love about it is that it is absolutely perfect inside. Everything looks almost brand new. Everything is so well preserved. And it has an incredible collection of art, objects. The house is just alive. With a lot of these English stately homes, they're very expensive to run, obviously. So there's always bits that are a little bit shabby or perhaps not the best. But every single area of Chatsworth is just perfect, and that's what I like about it. The previous Duchess of Devonshire, who was called Debo, she was a famous Mitford sister. She wrote a book about Chatsworth called Chatsworth the House, and as well as sharing the public rooms, she also shared the private apartments. And if you can get a copy of that book, I would highly recommend that you do so, because you get to see in the bedrooms, the sitting rooms, and you can kind of see the difference between the stately rooms that the visitors get to see and then these more personal, intimate, cosy spaces. And it just is so fascinating to see those rooms and spaces. Also, if you're a fan of floor plans, they have a floor plan of the whole house. I could look at floor plans all day long and see how rooms connect with each other and how a layout of a home is. I just find that fascinating. So yeah, I would definitely like to live at Chatsworth. So now I thought I would answer the next question, because it's one that I've never had before, and it's quite a deep question. So I thought that we'd have a little bit of a change. So this question is from Ralph Festive, and it says, does your deepest dream scare you? And I thought this was such an interesting question to ask, because, yeah, it's deep. And actually, I wrestle with this quite a lot, because I have some big dreams for my life. I've always been one of those people who've dreamed big and who've wanted a big life. You know, some people are very happy to live a normal, steady life, and I think that is so admirable. My parents, for example, they live a nice, beautiful, relaxing life. They have their little home, they go on their holidays, and they've had their careers, and they're really happy with their life. I've always been someone who's had the biggest ambitions and wanted to conquer the world and travel the world and just do everything. And I think the thought of not achieving your dreams is one of the most terrifying things that I could imagine. And sometimes when I'm getting into bed at night and your mind starts to race, I start to think, am I doing enough? I'm 34, have I achieved enough? Are my goals going to plan? Should I be doing more? Should I be getting up even earlier? And you wrestle with yourself. But I have to say that I've started to think lately that as long as you know you're doing your best and you know you're working hard and that actually you're happy with your life today, that is all that really matters, because you can spend hours and hours worrying about the future or planning for the future, and really we never know whether it's even going to come. We might be here today, gone tomorrow. It's a very morbid thing to say, but it's so true. And things have happened in my life where young people my age have passed away through illness, or even people who are a little bit older and they never, they planned their whole lives saving and having these dreams for retirement, and then they didn't even make it there. So I just think it is nice to dream and have big ambitions. That's what life is about, is for having a purpose. But actually the most important thing is to focus on your happiness today. Is today a good day? Are you where you want to be? And if not, are you happy? And I think that is the most important thing. So now we'll go to a more trivial question. As I've been doing a lot of tea content lately, I thought that I would do this one. What's your preference, silver or china teapot? So I actually really love teapots, if you didn't know already. I love them. I just think there's something so magical and charming about a perfect silver teapot. When I was at Clifton House last week, they served their tea in these little, about this size, teapots, and they're like a shape like that, whatever that is called. And they're just the most perfect little teapot, and I kept thinking, oh, I really want to find a teapot like this because it's so cute and charming. Also, in practical terms, your tea will stay hot for longer in a silver teapot. But yeah, I just find something so charming about having a little tea tray with all of your fine bone china teacups and saucers, plates, and then to have a silver teapot, I think just looks magical. But that being said, I also do have quite a few china teapots, and those are also completely beautiful with their intricate designs, and it's kind of like a piece of artwork, like a sculpture, but it has a purpose to pour your tea, and that is what I love the most about tea. And the ritual of tea is that you get to spend a moment relaxing, drinking a beautiful drink, maybe having a conversation with friends or a loved one, and you're surrounded by these beautiful objects that are there to serve a purpose. So wonderful. So the next question is from Mona, and she says, I'm so excited about your podcast with Nathan. When will you begin airing? Best of luck. So thank you for your wishes, that is very kind. So yes, this week Nathan posted on his Instagram that we are going to be starting a podcast. Now this is something that I've been thinking about for about 2 years, and I had an idea of the kind of podcast that I wanted to do, and then life kind of got in the way, work got in the way, and I didn't really ever get down to doing it. But when Nathan and I started working together more recently, and I brought him in on some of my videos and people commented that they really enjoyed them, I just thought that maybe we could do something together. Now, it wouldn't be practical for Nathan to join me on this channel, because we both have separate lives and we have separate work. But I thought that if we could work together in some way, and then I thought about the podcast. So one of the things that was stopping me from doing it before was that I thought that I needed to have someone join me, otherwise it would be a very one-way conversation. Now, it is okay to have that here on YouTube because I can share things at home, where I'm going, and I'm having a conversation with you. But with a podcast, which is very much audio, you need to have someone there to bounce off, to chat with, to back and forth and have that conversation. The podcast is going to be called A Dose of Dandy. Now, it is in the very early stages. We are planning to film Series 1 very soon this spring, and it's going to be 10 episodes. We'll release that, and then we will have a little break and film Series 2 if it goes well. So A Dose of Dandy is just going to be a podcast about elegant living, things that we enjoy on a day-to-day basis, living beautifully, things that we find inspiring. We're also going to have a little segment called Dandy Dilemmas, where we answer questions from the audience about how they can make areas of their life more beautiful, or if you have a question about style, interiors, travel, anything you can think of. So basically, we would like to have your questions for the podcast. If you have a dilemma or something that you need help with, or just any question about elegant, beautiful living, please do post it in the comments and we will select some of them to be featured on the podcast. So yeah, Series 1 is going to be 10 episodes, and in every episode there will be a Dandy Dilemma section where we answer questions from you. So please do get in touch to ask some questions. So yeah, that is the premise of the podcast, and it's exciting. I've always wanted to do this. I think it is a nice way for me to connect with you all again, and it is nice to have someone there to work with. I often work alone, and just being there, enjoying a conversation between two friends who really do love each other, I think will make a very natural podcast and something that a lot of people will enjoy. So hopefully it will go well, and I will let you know more about that when we know more. But for now, you can follow the Instagram account, which is called A Dose of Dandy. I will link that in the description box for you, and then as soon as it is ready, you will be notified. But yeah, I'm excited. So the next question is from JPS1979, and this question is how to decide between style and comfort, and how to get a happy medium in decor and clothing. I thought this was a great question. It's something that I think a lot about, both in interiors and in my own personal style when I'm wearing clothes. And that line between style and comfort is so important, because I think you could have an incredibly stylish home, but if it isn't comfortable, you're never going to enjoy living there, and no one is going to enjoy a room, so the effect is pretty pointless. So when I'm thinking about my rooms at home, the most important thing for me is comfort. I want it to be a beautifully comfortable room where even if it doesn't look the best, or it's not the prettiest fabric or the most exquisite furniture, if people can come into it and be so comfortable and relaxed and feel like it's their home, then it doesn't really matter how it looks so much, because the feeling that they're going to get is going to far outweigh a room that is stylish. But because I am someone who likes beautiful things, I want the room to also look beautiful. So when it comes to style and comfort, there is that fine line, and I think it is something that you have to think about quite a lot and choose your items carefully. So in terms of style, we all have our own tastes, but obviously things like the wall colours, that is something that is going to make a stylish room stylish or not. think about what you're looking to achieve. Do you want to achieve a sense of calm? Do you want to have something that is modern or edgy? Or do you want something that is a plain backdrop to your collection of art or antiques? So think about that. And then in terms of furniture, I like very classic furniture. There is an armchair called a Howard armchair. It is a very English style. It's quite classic, very classic. It dates back quite a lot of years. I'll put a picture on screen now so you can see it. But this, I think, is the perfect armchair because it is beautifully comfortable. It is made by an English manufacturer, Howard and Sons. That's why it's called the Howard chair. It has been imitated a lot, and it is still beautiful by other people who make it too. But the OG is by Howard and Sons, and this armchair, it has a beautiful back so that you can sit comfortably. It has a low seat so you're nice and grounded, and then the arms are low and elegant so that if you need to read a book or look at your phone or have a cup of tea, instead of your arms being up here where it's quite difficult, they're low and you can just freely move. And then in terms of style, it is a classic, elegant style that is never going to go out of fashion. So that is a great example of style and comfort marrying together and being perfect. So yeah, when it comes to style and comfort, I would say you have to have a perfect balance for a room to be truly successful. But if I had to choose between comfort and style, I would always choose comfort first. Now when it comes to your clothing, again, I think it is important to be stylish if you like to dress well, but if you're feeling uncomfortable in your clothes, then you're never going to have that polished, elegant look that you're looking for because you're going to be conscious, you're going to be a little bit uncomfortable. So what I would say that if your style is on a budget, for example, what I like to do if I'm buying trousers, I make sure that the waist fits perfectly, and then I will take them to a tailor to adjust them. So pretty much every pair of trousers that I buy, I have them taken in on the thigh so that they hug the thigh but not squeeze the thigh, so that it's just a nice slimming effect. And then I just have them slightly tapered in the calf, so that, but not touching at all the calf, so that it's just got this beautiful line. And for me, because I'm quite short, I have to have my clothes streamlined so that we have this effect of a very elegant line. So yeah, in that way you're creating style because it looks chic, but also comfort because it fits properly. Nothing's too tight or squeezing. There's nothing worse than clothes that are too tight, in my opinion. If you're wearing a shirt that's too tight or trousers and you're uncomfortable, you're never going to look elegant or stylish, I don't think. So yeah, style and comfort, I think, are so important. You have to marry the two together, otherwise there's always going to be a failure. But really, I think comfort is the most important thing. So the next question is from 7376MJ, and it says, are you afraid of the future with everything that's going on in the world? I thought that I would answer this question because we are going through a really tumultuous time in the world. In fact, for the last 10 years, it has been pretty grim. And I've always made a very deliberate effort to never talk about what's going on in the world on this channel. When I started this channel, it was at the beginning of the COVID pandemic, and I always wanted it to be a place of refuge where people could switch off from the outside world and just get lost for 15-30 minutes. So I always made sure that I never talked about anything that was going on in the world, any disasters that were happening in the world, any wars. I've never ever spoken about them or my opinions about them. And I've had comments before of people saying, how can you make a video about afternoon tea when there's a war going on in the world? And I do see those comments. But my thing for this channel, again, was to be a place of respite and a place where people could have a moment of calm from the world. We do live in a very harsh world at the minute. There are some terrible, terrible things going on. And I think we all need an escape. We are only human beings, and to crave an escape from the news and from the horrible things that are going on in the world does not make you a bad person who is irresponsible or who is uncaring. As a human, we all need that time, that space, just to breathe and enjoy something more beautiful and pleasant. And am I scared about the future? I'm a little bit scared about the future. Obviously, it's pretty dangerous what's going on, but I think we have to have hope. We don't know how things are going to play out, and the history of the world tells us that there are going to be bad times, maybe for generations and generations, but this earth always bounces back. It bounces back without us, with or without us. It will always be here whether we destroy it or not. And there's kind of hope in that no matter what mankind does to the earth, it will always bounce back and thrive without us. And that is the kind of principle for my life, is to always look back to nature and find calm in that. You know, you go through a very harsh winter where you think it's never going to be warm again, and then you walk outside in February and the daffodils are pushing through the hard ground and are a bright ray of light in an otherwise grim environment. So yeah, that keeps me going. Nature is a great thing for your mind and for your energy. If you're feeling low, get outside and just look at the beauty of the world. We really do live in a beautiful, beautiful world, despite the awful things and awful times that a lot of people are going through. This question is from Willow, and she says, any advice for those in their 20s that want to create a beautiful and independent life? So I thought that this was a nice question to do, and I think this is a very simple one to answer. So if you want to curate a beautiful and independent life, my advice is to seek simplicity, keep your life simple, and just really enjoy the very tiny moments that make life so beautiful. So you can start by curating a beautiful morning. That is what I like to do. I like to get up early, 6 a.m. I think if you can get up at that time, you've got 4 hours, 3-4 hours to do whatever you want before the world starts to wake and before life starts to happen. So when I get up at 6, I spend probably at least an hour just enjoying a slow, beautiful moment. So I get out of bed, I make myself a little tea tray. Again, these are the simple things. There's nothing more simple than a cup of tea. Doesn't cost the earth, but you know, you can buy yourself a beautiful teacup and saucer, maybe a little teapot, and that is going to create a beautiful moment for you to enjoy instantly when you wake up. Then I like to get into bed, sit there with my tea. I might read a chapter of a book. I always keep a stack of books at the side of my bed. Or I might go on Pinterest and find some inspiring images relating to whatever I'm thinking about at that moment, whether that be planning on renovating the garden or a room in my house. Sometimes I like to put on the TV and watch the morning news, even though it can be quite depressing, but I think it is important to keep yourself updated. And then at 7 o'clock, I will go to the gym. I don't like to go at 6 because it's quite busy, so 7 is the perfect time. People are starting to leave and get ready for their work. I like that moment, that hour, just to really de-stress. I find it a very calming environment. And then come home, have a shower, get ready for the day. Make that a ritual, make it a beautiful time. Enjoying looking after your body and your hair, making yourself look presentable. So that is a really great way of already curating a beautiful life in your 20s without really having to make much effort or having to have a huge budget. It's simple things that you can do. And that is kind of the ethos for my life, is just to enjoy the little moments. So yeah, a beautiful cup of tea in bed. Maybe get yourself some beautiful linens that you can really take pride in and keep for years and years. And then also back to nature, go out for a walk. Wherever we live, there has to be somewhere beautiful, even if it's a simple park or street with gardens that are well kept. Just take in all of the beauty that surrounds us and just try to enjoy the very, very small moments of life. Now, of course, there are many, many things that you can do to curate a beautiful, I really find it hard to say that word, to curate a beautiful life, from the clothes that we wear, perfume that you spritz on yourself, the food that you cook. But in essence, I would say just enjoy the small things and also take pride and think about the small things. One of the things that I love about Nathan is that he has the most beautiful life. He doesn't have loads and loads of money. He's successful, but he makes every single aspect of his life beautiful. If you go to his home in Edinburgh and you open his underwear drawer, everything is folded to perfection. He irons everything. It's all stacked. That makes him happy. You open his cutlery drawer, everything is beautifully polished. You go to his bathroom cabinet, open that out, all of his linen towels are folded beautifully, all of his perfumes are lined by colour. He has every single object is beautiful, right down to his toothbrush, his hairbrush, his combs. Everything is beautiful and considered. And if you can do that in your life, you don't need to spend a lot. It's just about curating and making everything in your life really considered and beautiful. And I think it's a wonderful thing to do. There are so many boring, not thought about things that we have in our lives, like our toothbrush, our hairbrush. Make them beautiful, and that is going to really improve your life if you want to have a beautiful life. I think that is all for now. The battery is running low on my camera. We're leaving here today, going back to Edinburgh. Nathan's travelling again next week, but I'm staying in Edinburgh. It'll be nice for me to stay at home for a week and really ground myself there. I'm planning to do a little bit of redecoration in my house. So I want to do a little bit of redecorating in my bedroom. I've got a plan which I'm going to share. And I'm also going to be doing a makeover of my spare guest room. So I've never really shown that here on the channel. So I thought that it would be wonderful to finally get my guest room decorated. I've been doing a lot of decluttering lately. The other day I went through my closets and I completely had a clear out. I took 6 huge bin bags to the charity shop filled with clothes. So I feel so like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders getting rid of all of them. So I've managed to clear out a lot of my closets. The spare guest room was filled with rails and luggage and stuff like that. Now I have space. So I'm thinking that it is time to make my guest room a beautiful, cosy space so that people can come and stay with me and enjoy my hospitality here in Edinburgh, which I've never really done before. And that was the point of me having 2 bedrooms. So yeah, I'm excited to do that very soon. So keep your eyes peeled and I'll be sharing that, of course, here. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next time, but until then, take care. Bye-bye.